Okay, so now we'll take a look at adding some of the security features onto the project, and that begins with configuring user accounts, which you can do from the Project tab of Project Explorer. And you just need to have a master password to enable these. And then we can begin configuring users. So let's say I go in and make a developer user. And we'll make him a member of the managers class. And then we'll enable e-signature on him. We'll give him the title of application developer. We'll let him use all e-signature roles. We'll give him a PIN code. And then we'll give him an image as well that'll appear on the e-signature. And obviously, in a production system, you'd probably use something like the type of photo that'd be used for the security badge of the personnel. Now we'll go and modify the user groups. And the user groups are basically what gives each user their permissions. Each user has an association to a group. I'm going to go into the managers group. Here we can see that it has all the permissions, including editing reports and access to design tools. We've also got a users group, which has mostly view level permissions to it, but I want to add the e-signature permissions onto there. And I'm going to make 2 more users here. So say you had a manager user, and he'd be a member of managers, obviously. And we'll give him the plant manager title, give him a PIN code. He'll have all the signature roles as well. He'll get a goofy picture just like the first user. And then we'll add in 1 more. We'll make him a member of the users group, since he is a machine operator. And he will have only the review role. And of course, we won't leave him out. He'll get a goofy picture as well. So that's the basic gist of user accounts. You can configure different users that have different level of rights and permissions, and you can also use the e-signature feature on each of the users as well. Now the next thing we have to do here is log back into the Project Explorer now that we've enabled users. So I'll come in as my developer user. And the next thing I'll do is enable some more security features. But first, I've got to build a connector to the XLReporter audit trail database, which is just a secure encrypted database that's part of the XLReporter project that's used to store things like e-signature information, audit trailing, and some of the version control data as well. So we'll come and select audit trail under the XLReporter category. It's going to default to the data folder of the current project. That's fine. Probably the best place to put it. We'll say yes. And now I can go back to the project tab of the Explorer, go to the security area, and I can enable electronic signatures. Now that I have the audit trail enabled, I have to give a reason for each change I make to the project. So we'll say part of the development cycle to enable this feature. Same thing with file version control. And we'll also enable workbook access protection as well, which is a code we have to enter to access the template configuration. And that's part of our development cycle as well. Okay, so now what I can do is I can come into the batch cycle report template. And what I'm going to do is create a copy of it. This is, again, part of the development cycle. And we're going to enable template protection on there. We'll call this one secure batch. Going to put in the access code now to open it. And then now this is basically a secured version of the first template that we created. And what I can now do in here is I can enable electronic signature from the settings menu. So here we can say we want to have a accept signature on here. And confirm that. And then now I can go into the schedule and I'll swap out the update of the first template with this new secure one. can save that, and we'll say this is a development cycle change as well. And now we can run this one. And if I come back into the viewer again, we go into secure batch this time. We actually have to put an access code in to get to it. And then you can see that the signature is available but not complete. So if I go into view details, you can see I can apply a signature. It takes the user that I'm currently signed in as, puts the credentials in there, and I just have to put in my PIN code. Let's say good batch guys. I click OK. This now has the accepted tag on it. And now the e-signature aspect of this report is complete. But before we publish it, I'm going to actually come back, and if I go into the project tab on the PDF tab, I can actually enable PDF access protection, another development cycle change. And we'll put in an access code here. Now if I come back into the viewer, I've got to open my code again, and then I can publish this. And here is the PDF password now to open. You can see the same report is in here in secure batch, and it's got my e-signature document attached to it. And you can have up to 4 signees with different roles added to this as well. And now, just before we finish off, I'd just like to show some of the audit trail and version control information. So if I come into the audit viewer here, and we look at today's date, which would be the 20th, we could see all the development cycle changes I've put on here. And for example, if I wanted to go back into the template now, and if you recall when we ran this in one of the previous videos, we didn't have the date and time on the alarm sheets. If I enable that by fixing the formulas here, and then I save the template, you can say minor modification, and I'll save it on this sheet as well, so that loads by default. And we go back into the Project Explorer, we can see that those changes are shown here as well. And if we wanted to roll back to a previous version, we could go into the file archive, we can go into template layout, template layout for secure batch, and you can see that here are the changes that we made here, and we can roll back to any of these that we have previously saved. And of course, the audit trail and file versioning is only available on the XLReporter server, but were you running a distributed application, the secure viewing and signing features are available from any client system on the XLReporter network.